Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. Dementia Joe, Piss Pants Joe, Sleepy Joe, Robert Peters. Joe Biden's got a lot of names, a lot of nicknames, a lot of aliases, but I think this one is probably the one that's gonna stick the best. Well, maybe not as much as Sleepy Joe, that one is kind of synonymous with Joe Biden, but anyways, it's still a good one. Joe Biden's got a new nickname. He's officially been dubbed on Twitter, Dementia Hitler. Here's the tag that's now trending all over Twitter. As of recording this video, it's been less than 24 hours since Joe Biden took the stage, warning us once again of the threat that is MAGA extremism. I predicted the summation of his speech was likely going to be something along the lines of Donald Trump is literally Hitler, and apparently, not only was that right, that was spot on. That's exactly what Joe Biden did. This is the last ditch Hail Mary of the Democrat establishment, and boy, is it backfiring and backfiring fast. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so obviously it's nothing new. We were already exposed to Joe Biden's 2022 blood red speech, where he claimed that MAGA supporters were the greatest threat to the homeland. It didn't work then, I'm not sure why it's expected to work now, and apparently I'm not the only one thinking that. Here's yesterday morning's New York Post front page cover, Biden blusters. Have I told you Trump is bad? Bidenomics is a bust. His approval ratings are a dismal 39%, so Joe Biden kicked off his re-election campaign by shouting, then whispering, the slogan that won the last time. You can't vote for Trump. Down in the polls, his policies unpopular, Joe returns to the only pitch he has. The only pitch Joe Biden has is Orange Man Bad. Apparently, how utterly pathetic. Let me put together a highlight reel of Joe Biden's speech. More of a lowlight reel, but you get it.
Echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany. He proudly posts on social media the words that best describe his 2024 campaign, quote, revenge, quote, power, and quote, dictatorship. There's no confusion about who Trump is, what he intends to do. If you see politics as an all-out war instead of a peaceful way to resolve our differences, all-out war is what Trump wants. That's why he doesn't understand the most fundamental truth about this country. Created in a way that we've viewed everybody as equal and should be treated equal throughout their lives. We've never fully lived up to that. We have a long way to go. But we've never walked away from the idea. We've never walked away from it before. And I promise you, I will not let Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans force us to walk away now. Trump began his 2024 campaign by glorifying the failed violent insurrection on our Capitol. The guy who claims law and order sows lawlessness and disorder. Trump's not concerned about your future, I promise you. Trump is now promising a full-scale campaign of revenge and retribution, his words, for some years to come. They were his words, not mine.
So Trump is literally Hitler, yada yada yada, we get it. So scary, scary man. And apparently this Donald Trump is literally Hitler strategy is very carefully calculated and meant to energize Democrat voters, according to CNN.
One of the most important constituencies here is the most active progressive Democrats, who right now aren't really enthusiastic about voting for Joe Biden. And they need to be enthusiastic for voting for Joe Biden by November. So this is sort of a starter's pistol, if you will, for getting those voters energized about what's at stake for this election. It also is probably a message that works well with your most persuadable voters, those voters in the suburbs. And there's a reason that he was in Pennsylvania today, because Pennsylvania is going to be one of those states where suburban voters in areas around Harrisburg and Philadelphia are going to make or break whether or not that state goes for Joe Biden. So it seems very, very carefully calculated strategy here, by the way.
The sacred cause of preserving democracy. The intention was for Joe Biden to have amazing moments, hard-hitting moments that really deliver the importance of this message that Biden is saving democracy. But all I'm seeing is the world clowning on this guy. We've heard it all a million times. You can only cry wolf so much until nobody's buying it anymore. It's also clearly fake. They're essentially reattempting the previous speech from 2022 with a blood red background, except this this time, they put a bunch of American flags behind Joe, and all of a sudden, what, it becomes patriotic? Give me a frickin' break. We're supposed to be convinced that Donald Trump is the authoritarian threat. Meanwhile, this is the guy who, in that exact same speech, is essentially celebrating the idea that hundreds of Trump supporters are now rotting behind bars thanks to his DOJ for simply walking through the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
One desperate act available to him: the violence of January the 6th. And since that day, more than 1,200 people have been charged for their assault on the Capitol. Nearly 900 of them have been convicted or pled guilty. Collectively, to date, they have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison. What's Trump done?
Oh, and by the way, that comes from the same guy who said that, quote, nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime.
Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. As when we were in the White House, we released 36,000 people from the federal prison system.
I guess no one except for Trump supporters, right? The same double standard is applicable every single time. He's so full of it, and the majority of people can see it. You know, like I said, I don't think anyone's taking this seriously, and especially not Donald Trump. He actually just responded to Dementia Hitler.
You know, this guy goes around and says, I'm a threat to democracy. No, he's a threat because he's incompetent. He's a threat to democracy. You know, you can be grossly incompetent and be a threat to democracy because he's got us into wars. We're in wars now. You look at the Middle East. Look at what happened in Ukraine. That would have never happened. These things would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. The attack on Israel would never happen. The attack on Ukraine would never have. All these things would never have happened. Millions of people would be alive right now. Millions of people. Cities wouldn't be decimated, knocked down. You look at Ukraine with those towers, those gorgeous towers, ancient towers. They're all dead, gone. Can never be rebuilt. So many millions. I think the numbers are much bigger than what you're hearing. They knocked down an apartment house. These are big buildings, too. It's shocking how big they are. And they say 2 people were injured. No, people were killed. A lot of people were killed. The numbers are much bigger than you hear. It should have never happened. Most of the stuff, almost all of it. I can't think of anything that would have happened. We would have stopped all of it. And we did. And we had no inflation. Now you have inflation that's so bad, the worst probably the...
These types of attacks are so easily deflected because they aren't based in reality. It's nothing but political theater. You know, Joe Biden is desperate. You know, his speech is disgusting, obviously. The things that he's saying are deplorable. But I'd be more concerned if it was working. You know, I'd be more concerned if people were actually falling for the scam. But that simply isn't the case. And the numbers show us that. Donald Trump, the greatest threat to America, is literally the most favorable U.S. political leader at this time. Look at the numbers here, favorability ratings for U.S. political leaders. Trump has the highest favorability rating, higher than Joe Biden, higher than pretty much everybody else. If you look at Joe Biden's job approval, he continues to tank precipitously, and so obviously, he's going to attempt to resort to the same strategy he used in 2020. Except this time, he's getting clowned on. The New York Post is literally mocking him on their front page. Donald Trump's response speaks for itself, and all he really accomplished here was gaining a new nickname, the title of Dementia Hitler. Last time, he coined the term Ultra MAGA, which immediately got co-opted and turned into a title of pride. It's yet again another fail. It's proof of the desperation. It's proof that they have absolutely nothing. Joe Biden simply doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the stage presence. He doesn't have the ability to speak convincingly enough to really bring people on his side on this particular issue. It comes off as cringe, insincere. It reads as political kabuki theater. I mean, as if we're supposed to take this guy seriously, the same man who at the end of his speech had to be led off stage by his wife, acting as his old age dementia caretaker. Joe Biden is completely disgraceful. It's yet again another example. The people aren't buying it. In fact, the people seem to be clowning on it, even outlets like the New York Post. Another Democrat fail, but let them continue to cope on CNN. That it's all very carefully calculated. Give me a break. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.